Hello. I got a little bit lazy this week. As I write this, I'm on day 6 of 8 of working. Exhausting as you can imagine, and I just recently got done maxing out all my skills on Skyrim. Game is too addicting. But it's time for me to step away from the game and focus a little bit on YouTube, which, weirdly, I want to do anyway. I've made enough enemies recently by shitting on Top 40 music, but why not make some more enemies that, much like Top 40 fans, are worth having? Because like it or not, Chris Brown is a woman-beating piece of shit, Doja Cat and Lotto are both racists, and pretty much every rapper on the chart is aristocratic garbage and classist. But today's video isn't going to be about top 40 musicians, but about the anime community and really anime itself. Last summer, I made a video going a little bit in depth after I was essentially banned from the anime community, at least on Reddit, for trying to help them not be a bunch of backwards coomers and head up the ass fools that frankly seem to prefer ignorance over intelligence and treat wisdom as some sort of mental disorder. But as if they couldn't get closer to barbarism, I have all new reasons to condemn anime and the community around it. Let me just say that I do like some anime. Dragon Ball is one of my favorite franchises, and though there's certainly no shortage of content, I may just go through the series again at some point just to make sure that at no point did Akira Toriyama sexualize minors, which brings us to our topic. I also don't believe that all anime fans support child fan service in anime. At least, I don't want to believe it. Darling in the Franxx is the last anime that I actually watched through, and it was not good. The plot was okay, but the way the whole show was presented to us, in my opinion, completely ruined it. Let's start with the fact that the eldest of the main characters was 16-ish. Doesn't say how old 02 is. The first time we even see 02, she's naked, swimming in the lake. The anime is chock full of fan service. Every character wears a skin-tight suit to where their ass crack is showing. Their ass literally did show in episode 8 when some goo from a Klaxosaur leaked into their Franxx and melted their suits off. Not to mention what kind of position the literal fucking kids need to take in order just to operate the Franxx. Looks like they're getting ready for doggy style. In the very same episode, the boys end up walking in on the girls while they're in the bath. But that's not it. After 24 episodes of constant fan service, sexualization, and objectification, Kokoro, at age 15, becomes pregnant. I have talked about Darling in the Franxx already, but that isn't my only example. Unfortunately, even in a show like K-On!, a teenhood favorite of mine, there are pedophilic undertones. Mio, in particular, is pretty much the one character targeted for fan service, because for some reason, Kakafly wanted a young girl to have bigger breasts than the rest of the group. In the first beach episode, yes, there are multiple beach episodes in this series, they literally do a close-up of 15-year-old Mio's breasts. Not to mention, at the school festival, the writer included a scene where Mio tripped over a cable, which resulted in her exposing her underpants in front of the entire school, causing her to be teased on and off for the rest of the series about it. Again, 15 years old. The breast thing is also an on and off thing, as at one point their teacher, Miss Yamanaka, attempts to tell the difference between Mio and Azusa by feeling their breasts. Not a good look. Also, is it weird to anyone else that the headmaster of the all-girls high school is an older male? Also not a good look. Sword Art Online used to be a favorite of mine as well. I actually ended up watching season 2 first through Toonami, but upon watching the first season, in particular the fairy dance arc, my stomach churns anytime I even see anything related to Sword Art Online. It's one thing that then 15-year-old Leafa started falling for Kirito, not knowing Kirito was her cousin's avatar, but the scene where that slug fuck literally committed attempted rape on then 17-year-old Asuna honestly scarred me. Talk about opening a can of worms. And that creep Nobuyuki, dude's literally a 20-something, made 17-year-old Asuna his fiancé. Does that not sound fucked up? Honestly, if ALO actually does happen, the first thing I'm going to do is turn it into ESO2 and lead my own Stormcloak faction and overthrow Oberon as High King of Alfheim. The Norse realm of the elves shall not be ruled over by a gang of child rapists. We'll drive out the pedos from this land that we own. With our blood and our steel, we will take back our home. All hail to Tristan, you are the High King. In your great honor, we drink and we sing. Look, okay, I suck at singing. Another underage target of fan service and almost rape scenes is Sinon. There's fan service during the Bullet of Bullets tournament, but it boils over when one of Sinon's friends, Kyuji, tries to rape her for befriending Kirito. Later on during the Yalicization arc, Subtleizer also handles Sinon in a questionable manner during the fourth Bullet of Bullets. Once the main characters are actually in the Yalicization simulation with Kirito, another disturbing scene happens where now 17-year-old Leafa is attacked by DIL's life-sucking tentacles, with her tentacles going into Leafa's tits, and it looks like one even goes inside her vagina. Maybe not actually a rape scene, but still extremely suggestive, especially seeing as how DIL makes a bunch of sexual comments. Before that, there was another almost rape scene that involved two underage girls, Ronye and Tisei. both 16 victims of attempted rape by Rios Antonis and Umber Zizek. I can go on all day about fan service, sexual assault, and elements of pedophilia, pedophilia, but what disturbs me the most is that the fans are completely shameless about it. We already know that they don't mind rape, but as it turns out, they're completely in support of pedophilia, or at least enable it. I'm not usually the first one to suggest banning anime, but I think writers can easily avoid it and that they should be punished for including it, or if it's a studio taking it upon themselves to add it into an anime because sex sells, they should be penalized up to and including cease and desist. Of course, that'll never happen under capitalism. We know full well that it doesn't matter to the elite if a child gets raped. If they can make money from it, that's all that matters. But let's take a look at Reddit and find out just what anime fans think of pedophilia, in particular a post on unpopular opinion. The anime industry has a serious pedophilia problem. Ever since the rise of moblob trends, it's gotten worse. Sick of when a new anime comes out, everyone talks about it, but I find out it has some child and sexual fan service. It's just fiction. You ever consider the ones putting so much time and effort into drawing out sexual scenes with children have a high chance of being actual pedophiles? There isn't a complete disconnect. I know anime fans will get offended by this post and take it personally because of how normalized it is. Is it real child porn? No, but it's pedophilic in nature. The comments read, given the views in this thread, I'd say that it's not an unpopular opinion, just a very misunderstood one. Don't post facts on here, bro. I used to like anime. This person used to be a fan of anime, but likely the pedophilia issue plaguing the industry in the present day has driven him, including many others I'm sure, away from it, and I absolutely do not blame him. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Plenty of shonen anime without fan service of any kind. Typical defensiveness, they can't see the problem despite it being right under their noses, and default to thinking that OP is just another smear campaigner. Get over it. If you don't like it, don't consume the medium. Only the West thinks it's a problem, while the Japanese largely do not care. Stop trying to foist your morals onto others. Found the pedo. Why don't you take a seat over there? Sorry, main. Cartoons and drawings aren't real people, no matter how much others screech that they are. I've already said before that defending the Japanese for supposedly not caring about sexualizing minors is a piss-poor argument. Chances are this commenter is from the US, where the age of consent is 18. I'm sorry, but a 20-something marrying a 17-year-old against her will is unspeakable. I don't give a fuck what the age of consent is in Japan. A 13-year-old should not be in a relationship, romantic or sexual, with someone age 18 or over. A 13-year-old shouldn't be having a sexual relationship regardless. Also the piss-poor excuse that drawings aren't real people. Give me a break. The context being obvious, if it looks like an underager and is confirmed by the writers that it is an underager, then you are a pedophile. It's not pedophilia if you're younger. If you're younger, then what's happening is you're being groomed, which is still pedophilia. This is true. When I went to Japan, I noticed there's a lot of sexualization of younger looking / prepubescent looking girls too. You can buy middle school / high school escorts there as well. I don't know how true this is, but I guess anything is possible in a nation where the age of consent is as low as 13. I'm an anime fan and I agree. I hate lollies. That's one of the reasons why I prefer older anime. Lollies weren't as common then. I am an anime fan and I wholeheartedly agree with you. Japan's age of consent is too low, and even childish characters that are not meant to be looted, example Kana from Dragon Maid, in shows still get looted by the fandom, and I personally find it disgusting. As long as it's not real children, who cares? Who cares? What? Who cares? Let me ask you something. Would you purposely expose your children to pedophile anime and then when you were caught showing it to them, defend yourself by saying, who cares? It's just cartoons. I agree and they're in denial. Watching little girls in anime equals auto-pedophiles is just like playing shooter games equals auto-murderers. Not sure who said anything about violent video games, but I'll indulge in this logic, or lack thereof. I grew up playing games like Grand Theft Auto Vice City, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto 4, and Saints Row 3 and 4. Did I become a violent murderer, a drug dealer, a gangster? No. When I hit puberty, I discovered what I was into, and I have no reason to believe that anyone who masturbates to lolly porn developed any differently. Which, I mean, wave the pedo pride flag if you want, just don't expect to feel like you're being stalked like a lion about to pounce his meal. Context, bud. Shooting in games, you are portrayed as the good guy, or in a war, taking and violating a kid is wrong no matter what. I entirely agree. First it was a punk thing, then there were adult women tits on it, then it was an outlet for gays, which is fine. Now it's all about 12-year-old girls at ghost hunting school who have to fight an apparition that eats their underwear to get stronger, or something fucked up like that, and it gets played off like a joke. Source, roommate in the military was into it. Even when it's not pedo stuff, it's really just an annoying storyline, and it's often very unoriginal from the last anime. The only one I like is One Punch Man, because it makes a joke about cliché anime tropes. Anime is an expression of how the Japanese wish wish their culture was, and the Japanese age of consent is 12 years old. While this is disturbing to American citizens, the USA does not have the right to enforce a universal age of consent, and there is no universally agreed upon age of consent. Thus, Japan's definition of pedophilia is different from the USA, and that will not change. Again, the Japanese age of consent is a little, I mean very, archaic and needs to change. No 13-year-old or 12-year-old, whichever it is, should be in a relationship, romantic or sexual, with someone that's 18 or older. Hell, 14-year-olds shouldn't be involved with adults like that. Or 15-year-olds. The only age range I can justify between a minor and an adult is if one is as young as 16 and the other is as old as maybe 19. If you're a 20-year-old dating a 16-year-old, you're a fucking weirdo. I swear, prudes can't tell the difference between fantasy and reality. No, hentai isn't the same thing as actual child porn. In fact, I would say it's harmless. The real harm comes from people who actually harm children physically, sexually, or emotionally. Cartoon porn doesn't harm kids. It's the people who hurt real children are the problem. Prude. I'm a prude because I think adults getting off to cartoon kids being raped is weird. What the fuck? It's not real child porn, but it's still not a good thing. Yeah, it's weird, but it obviously isn't for you. You don't like hentai? Don't watch it then. It's not real. You don't have to worry. I clearly don't understand Japanese culture, yet I'm going to speak as an authority anyway. The Post. Are you Japanese? No, I don't think that matters in a general sense. Japanese culture has a lot of subtleties that are hard to understand for Westerners. I don't even get some of them, but they hold completely different values and modes of thinking for taboo topics such as incest, age of consent, and sex in general. It doesn't mean that they're sick or that their way of thinking is a problem. I'm not supporting pedophilia, and I'm against it. However, as some people have already stated, a lot of OP's perceived issues lie with the subject matter that has no basis in reality. Liking prepubescent girls makes you a fucking weirdo no matter what culture you're from. I don't care if people get their rocks off by drawing or sexualizing cartoon characters. The only reason actually sexualizing a live child is wrong is because children cannot consent, and there is a high change of causing Jesus Christ, these people can't spell. The only reason actually sexualizing a live child is wrong because children cannot consent and there is a high chance of causing psychological and physical trauma to them. A cartoon character? Seriously, it does not matter. You can't just make their desires go away. At least this is a safe outlet where nobody is hurt. You act like drawn pictures are the same as the real thing. You act like lolicon isn't rooted in pedophilia just because it isn't real. Well, if I remember correctly, it's a law that they can't show peen and vagines in porn, so to bypass, I'm just gonna stop you right there. There's still fan service and still a lot of hentai coming from Japan that involves underagers, and from what I can tell, they can just blur it out and they'll be safe from the law. So this whole response is debunked right out of the gate. The age of consent Jesus Christ. The age of consent is 13 in Japan. Doesn't change the fact that 13-year-olds are still children, and being into children is pedophilia. 13 isn't pedophilia, it's hapephilia. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm sorry, but political compass memes has made me incapable of taking self-proclaimed hebephiles seriously. I think I've covered just about everything. There were a couple of rays of hope, but the anime community at large approves of pedophilia, and their justification pretty much boils down to wrongthink. They believe that because the age of consent is different in one country, that it applies where they're at, which more than likely is the United States. I think these people need to be put on a watch list if they're not already on one, which let's hope none of these creeps have had the chance to harm a child yet. If it were up to me, you'd be put against the wall, or at least in a gulag, for even saying shit like, they're not real people, or, but the age of consent in this country is this. When it comes to pedophilia, it doesn't matter that no one is being hurt. Sexualizing children is fucking wrong. This is the kind of nonsense that enables adults, especially those in places of authority, to manipulate, blackmail, exploit, and abuse people that are underage, especially in the workplace. Camelot331 once told the story of how his old SM at GameStop would blackmail a teenaged girl into sending nudes, or he'd leak the nudes he already had, which is basically what happened to Amanda Todd. I think it's important for society to come together and agree that sexual attraction towards kids is wrong, cultural differences be damned. I'm generous enough in responding to the arguments and justifications that come out of the bowels of the only safe space pedophiles manage to make a do with, whereas I could, and actually probably should, just ignore it and not give my reason as to why actually they're fucking wrong, when the reality is they're just trying to dodge being called a pedophile because they know deep down that the way they feel is incorrect and unnatural. natural. And that is where I'm going to drop the mic. If you like this video, please be sure to click thumbs up, share the video far and wide, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and please consider subscribing for more content and click the bell to be notified when I post said content. I also have a Patreon where you can get exclusive stuff, as well as early access every Wednesday. I recently started my Everywhere at the End of Time But They Found a Cure series. The art cover for Stage 8 has already been posted to my Patreon, so if you'd like to get a look at that, I invite you to become a monthly contributor for just $3 a month. You'll be helping me financially, you'll be helping speed up the process of us moving out of my grandmother's house. Every little bit helps, I would appreciate you greatly, but for now, I thank you for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow for the next video. Bye guys.